Hello, my name is Huber Kellerman. This is Jerry here with me. We'll do a quick 20-25 minute flow for you that everybody can do. We're in a beautiful Silver Lake with an amazing sunset. Jerry, why don't we start in child's pose, please? She's just going to put her knees under the floor, sink her butt back towards the heels. The arms reach straight out in front. And the palms are generally flat. Armpits are a little bit hollowed, and we're just taking a couple of very deep breaths all the way down into the fingertips and the toes. And on the exhales, allow that sit bone to sink down towards the heel. Find just a little bit more space in your upper back and the middle back. And just 2 breaths like that. Deep breath and lengthen the center of the heart towards the thumbs. Find some space. And on the exhales, the tailbone sinks down a little bit more. Good. On your next inhale, come on up to tabletop position. Slide the knees in a little bit closer. And we'll just flow through a couple of cat-cow stretches. On inhale, draw your heart forwards. As you exhale, palms, knees press, draw the belly button in. And just 2 more like that. Inhale, glance the heart forward, shoulder heads roll. Exhale, palms, knees press. 1 more time. Inhale, get a little bit more space. And exhale, draw that belly button in a bit more. Nice. Find a neutral spine. Walk your hands about maybe 3 to 5 inches forward. Tuck your toes under. Take a bigger inhale. And on an exhale, pull your butt back, downward facing dog. And just taking the next moment or 2 here. Pedal the feet out. Maybe turning the head side to side. Sort of sensing into the body. Palms are still flat, armpits are still hollow. Good, and eventually working your way towards stillness. On your next inhale, drift forwards into the plank position, top of a push-up. We're just holding here for the next 3 breaths. So we're trying to take the dip out of the low back. The belly button draws in and the palms are pressing down really, really strong. Shift 2 inches forward of your wrist, slow motion, bend your elbows, come all the way down onto your belly. Beautiful. Untuck the feet on an inhalation, come into a cobra position. So the shoulders stay low. As you exhale, touch your chin to the floor. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, spread the toes wide, lengthen the legs. Exhale, lower with control. 1 more time, come up a little higher, hold it here for 3. Hug the elbows back. Chin is lifting. 2. Take a huge inhale here, and then downward facing dog in any which way that pleases you. Make sure the belly keeps working and the breath is still deep. I'm going to give Jerry an adjustment. You can always have a friend of yours. Just kind of press your hips back and away from the ground. It should feel great on the low back. So slide your toes a little closer together and lift your right leg up towards the sky. We call this a 3-leg down dog. And flare that hip open, bend the knee. Good. And then you can circle the ankle around a couple of times. Just get any kinks out of the ankle joint. A lot of times this circular movement is not something we do on a regular basis. And then as you're ready, put the right toes down onto the floor. Shift forwards to plank again on an inhale. Feel free to use your knees if you need to. Come down to chaturanga, bend the elbows, and push right back up to plank. Wow, that was a cobra. So just try it again. So just chaturanga, back to plank. Yeah, she's strong. And exhale, downward facing dog. Well done. Lift your left leg up behind you. And bend that left knee. Find that feel-good position in the hips. And as you can see, the left shoulder kind of pops forward. We typically try to send that left shoulder back a little, to even things out. So put the left foot down. Let's try this again. So just the push-up. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, come halfway down. Inhale, back up, plank. And exhale to the downward facing dog. Let's walk the hands back to the toes. Interlace your fingers behind your tailbone. Send your knuckles up and overhead. Drop your head down low. So the inner thighs rotate back in space. And those arms are just freely falling forward. You know, if it's available in your body, you can even squeeze the heels of the hands together. Sometimes that gives a little bit more engagement. Good, and then put your hands on your hips, trickle your fingertips down in front of your toes, bend the knees a little bit and climb your hands back out to the top edge of your mat, downward facing dog. So just where we were. Nice, and then take your right leg back up in a three-legged dog, and on an exhale, squeeze your right knee to your forehead. So it's basically plank pose with that knee tucked in. Step your right foot next to your right thumb, put your left knee onto the floor, and float your arms skywards, Anjaneyasana. Just a couple of breaths here. This is our first kind of semi-standing pose, the back knees on the floor, and Jerry's doing an amazing job. I really don't have much to say. But you know, if you're doing this at home, just notice if you are allowing your torso to become this sandbag. A lot of times we have the torso just kind of sinking down, and instead of that, draw the belly in, engage those low core muscles, and see if you can feel like somebody is lifting you by the wrist, pulling you up towards the sky. Take one more breath here. Put your fingertips on the floor. Tuck the left toe under, lift your left knee, stay on your left hand, take your right arm up towards the sky. And so this is the first twist of this class. The back leg is really, really strong. And the left shoulder just kind of drapes down the back as you spread those fingers nice and wide. Beautiful. Put your right hand back onto the floor, and then see if you can maybe hop your back foot in just a little bit closer. Turn your back heel flat and pull your right leg straight. Yeah, pull your right hip really, really back and in towards to the midline. We call this pyramid pose. So both butt cheeks are equally distant from the space behind you. Both shoulders equally distant from the wall in front of you. On your next inhale, bend your front knee and step your left foot up to meet your right foot. Take a forward fold again. Stunning. How about chair position? Bend your knees deeply, arms reach towards to the sky. I like holding chair for 3 to 5 breaths. Just a great pose to bring some heat into the thighs, heat into the glutes. The belly is still hugging in, the arms are long. Take one more breath here, and on an exhale, fall forward, empty your lungs. Good, now bend your knees a little bit, think chair pose, draw your heart forward, but keep your fingers up forward. Take your left leg up behind you, so that's a three-legged, or rather a one-legged forward fold. The inner thigh rotates towards to the sky, and see if you can straighten your arms and actually draw your heart forward. Now keep all this length, drop step your left toes way behind you. We're going to come up to crescent position, so the arms reach high towards to the sky. And this is the first balancing pose today, where you really sort of have to dial that in. And the best way to go about the standing balancing pose is by engaging your inner thighs. Just imagine that your outer hips are squeezing in, you're hugging one of those big body pillows in between your thighs. Now listen to this, stretch up a little bit taller. On your next exhale, dip your torso forward and swing the arms back. Touch your right nipple. Inhale, rise up to stand, again, crescent position. And just twice more. Exhale, dip and dive and swing the arms back. Beautiful. Inhale, reach the arms up a little bit higher. Last time, exhale, plant your palms flat on the ground. Try to hover your right toes 2 inches off the floor and step it back to plank position. So instead of beautiful, exhale, chaturanga lower. Inhale, cobra pose or up dog, always your choice. And then downward facing dog, the butt cheeks lift to the sky, head is heavy, breath still deep. So your next inhale, sweep that left leg behind you, stretch it back long, knee to the nose, curl it in. And then step that foot quietly like a snowflake landing. Drop your right knee down. On your next inhale, the arms rise like a bubble towards to the surface. And just really carving through any fog, any resistance that might be coming up in your mind. That's yoga is a tool to clear the spiritual body, the mental body, the physical body. You're really purifying the body through it, so you're able to attain to the state where you can begin to transcend the body and experience the spiritual aspect of things. One more breath, fullest expression. Fingertips to the floor, tuck your right toe, lift your right knee, keep the right hand down, left arm reaches towards to the sky, find your twisting lunge. Back leg is just really strong and straight like an arrow. So the back leg we use for fuel. A lot of times we underestimate it because it has a supporting factor, but so as the wings on an aeroplane, they are supporting, but without the wings, the aeroplane would fall. So don't underestimate the importance. One more breath here. Put the left hand down, feel free to hop your back foot in a little closer. Turn the right heel flat, pull your left leg straight. So that left hip hugs back, the right hip moves forward. This is a setup for twisting triangle, this is a setup for twisting half moon, a lot of big poses, even a handstand kick up. We all know that if that right hip is turning externally and she would go into a handstand, she would fall over to the left hand side because the balance is not in the center. Next inhale, bend your front knee deep, step the right foot up to meet the left and take a forward fold again. Chair pose, bend your knees, squat the hips low. Let's come up to stand on this one. Draw the hands to prayer, Samastiti. Inhale, come back to chair, sit a little bit lower, and as you exhale, take a forward fold. So fingertips stay on the ground, feel free to bend your knees a little bit. The right leg will lift behind you. We call this Ekapada Uttanasana, or a one-legged forward fold. And straighten the arms, draw that heart nice and long, keep all that length, soft as a feather, drop step the right toes behind you. Find your hips, your inner thighs, arms elevate skywards as you come into your crescent pose, a big balancing pose on the other side. Other thing we are tempted to do in crescent is to what they call kind of collapsing into the low back. So draw the belly button back. Belly button's kissing the spine. Other hips hugging in. Are you ready? On an exhale, dipping forward, swing the arms behind you. On an inhale, rise up tall. Again, exhale, dip and dive. Inhale, reach a little bit higher. Exhale, plant your palms, hover the left toes 2 inches, quietly step back to plank, that's an inhale. Shift forward, chaturanga as an exhale. Cobra, the up dog, shoulder heads roll, and downward facing dog, hips to the sky, and the head is down low. Nice, now what I'd like you to do is walk your feet to the middle of your mat. Keep walking the feet in. Bend your knees, have a seat, come into Navasana, the boat pose. So you're going to lift your heels out in front of your knees. Yeah, a lot of us have a challenge with this. I never demonstrate this class because I'm always like, wow, what if I miss one? We're only going to do 3 repetitions today. On an inhale, low back, middle back, leg straight. Exhale, sit up. Use your belly. You can always smile. Inhale, that helps. Exhale, sit up. Last chance, inhale. Exhale, sit up. Inhale, come all the way down, Shavasana. Just lie flat on your back for a moment. Give your body a chance to absorb the work you have put in so far. Nice, and then bend your knees, gather your knees in towards you. Just give yourself a gentle squeeze, a little bit of rock and rolling side to side. And then place your feet flat on the floor. So you want the ankles underneath your knees. We're going to come into bridge pose. As you're ready, press your heels down, elevate the hips skywards. And it's very interesting because a bridge pose is a back bend. But to keep the spine straight and to keep the spine in its most neutral position, you're actually aspiring to take the back bend out of it a little bit by sending the flesh of the butt towards to the backs of the knees and having that tailbone shoot forward in between the shin bones. So there is a bit of a back bend, but you don't want to jam the vertebrae. So you're constantly looking for length. One more breath here, and as you exhale, tailbone forward, lower slowly. How about Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow? You can do this, yes. Palms by the side of the ears, the elbows hugging. You come to the crown of your head first. Pull those elbows in a bit more, and as you're ready, she's going to press her arms straight. And you can always walk the feet in a little bit more. The tailbone is still sending forward that incredible energy from deep inside. Whenever you're ready, softly, you'll come back down. Yeah, so the chin lifts. We end on the back of the head, not on the crown of the head. And then take a happy baby position. Just grab the outside of the feet, or you can grab your big toes as well. Another great adjustment, if you have a friend with you, is they can put their hands on your thighs and really lean the weight on you, because the tailbone wants to lift up in this pose. So it feels really nice when you're able to even your body out. Cool, and then just hug both knees in towards you again. Give it a squeeze. Take the arms nice and wide, like a T, and let your knees fall over to the right hand side. And if you want to use your right hand to anchor your left thigh down, you may. And generally we look to the opposite direction from the knees. The neck is a part of the spine, so to get the full potential of the twisting, we always turn the head away from the direction of the knees, as long as that feels good in your body. Okay, next inhale, bring your knees into the center. We're just going to simply go over to the opposite side, knees to the left. You can use that left hand again to anchor things down. And the top of the hip moves down, so there's a lot of length between the armpit and the hip bone. Perfect. Come back into the middle. Bring your hands around your knees again. And just start rocking back and forth. I'd like you to come back up to a seated pose with your legs straight out in front of you. Nice, that's it. And you can take your hands and pull the outside edge of the thighs out a little bit and turn them down. Take both arms up to the sky, draw your belly in. On a long, slow exhale, start reaching forward as you spread your torso over your thighs. Paschimottanasana. So this pose requires very open hamstrings. And that's why we leave it last. It's also a symmetrical pose. So a lot of the poses we did today would have you right foot forward, left foot back. That's an asymmetrical pose. In this pose, just like chair pose, just like mountain pose, it's a symmetrical pose. So after you open the body, you just kind of bring it back into that closing. Beautiful. Now sit up tall and reach your arms out in front of you. Hug the arms back into the shoulder sockets, and on a count of 7, start taking a slow recline down. You reach the final pose. 5, slow it down. 4, 3, hit that quiver zone at 2, and come on down all the way. Shavasana, let the arms just freely fall, the legs turn out. And if you want to use your next exhale to just really clear any remaining tension, releasing the grip of the Ujjayi breath. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to leave your comments and hit subscribe. We'll see you again soon. Namaste.